I'm Rajaram and I lead the banking, financial services, and insurance business unit at Infinite. I'm excited to be moderating today's discussion. Thank you so much for joining us. It's a pleasure to be here as we explore a topic that is rapidly transforming industries, including our own, the banking and financial services industry, right? And the topic we are going to cover is generative AI. We have seen all the headlines, the breakthroughs, the excitement surrounding AI. If 2023 was a year of generative AI, I think 2024, I think we all will agree, has seen a surge of interest in agentic AI, right? But what does it all mean for credit unions? Because credit unions have always been about trust, relationships, and community, right? And unlike traditional banks, credit unions have always prioritized member service over the sheer scale. But in an era where technology is rapidly evolving at an unprecedented pace, I believe generative AI has the potential to enhance member experience, streamline the operations, drive efficiency, while keeping the personal touch that is, I think, that sets credit unions apart. Whether it is personalized financial guidance, automated member support, or fraud detection, the application of Gen AI in our sector can be both transformative and exciting. However, I think with these opportunities and challenges, there are some challenges also, right, with these opportunities. Regulatory concerns, ethical considerations, as well as the need to balance the innovation with our core mission, which is people helping people. And to dive deeper into this, we have an incredible panel of industry leaders today, and they bring a diverse perspective on AI, the financial services industry, and the credit union strategy. We have Patty Campbell, CEO of Christian Financial Credit Union, Suresh Ranganathan, CIO of Teachers Federal Credit Union, and Anurag Sharma, CTO of Vistar Credit Union, joining us today. I'll start by asking a few questions, but I encourage an open and interactive conversation. So let's all of us engage and explore and see where AI is taking us next. With this, let me ask my first question to Patty. Patty, how do you see AI shaping the financial services industry overall, and also particularly within the credit unions?
Yeah, Raj, I think you kicked it off. Good morning to everybody first, but Raj, I think you kicked it off well in talking a little bit about where AI started, what made it popular as of recent, and where we're going. But I truly think that AI is going to revolutionize banking as we know it today. It started already automating tasks, freeing time for true exception processing. It's improved our decision making for sure, removing our old gut instincts and years of experience and knowledge, and actually replacing it with better models than we could ever do or deliver on. It's transforming our ability today to deliver on goods and valuable customer service. Where in the past, we thought we were producing the best solution for you. Now we know we're producing the best solution when you need it. I think, though, the true value of AI in banking is its ability today to synthesize that data in a way that we could never synthesize it and obtain information not only on our existing members or customers, or data on prospective customers or members that we want to have, and to enhance those offerings that we want to deliver to them. So I think it's been around for a long time. I think it's actually started many years ago in financial services. It's pretty old, but the widespread adoption of it has come from this, use of generative AI. And so people are becoming more comfortable with it. And I think that's what's going to make it mainstream in banking.
I think it's a great point, Patty, right? It is not just about applying AI, generative AI to what we know. I think there is going to be a lot of new things, right? As you point out, we could have completely new use cases and potential that comes out of this. I think that's a great way to look at it. Suresh, same question for you, right? You have been in various industries, and I know now with the credit union, but in other parts of the financial services as well. How do you see the same impact on the overall financial services industry, and now from the vantage point of a credit union?
So I mean, very similar. The view is very similar to Patty, right? So before even I go there, first of all, it's a pleasure to join the discussion alongside this team, industry leaders like Patty, Anurag, and Raj. Thanks to you and the Infinite team for hosting this insightful session. So when it comes to AI, the view, right? Patty mentioned it's fundamentally transforming the financial services at large. And credit unions now have a very unique opportunity to leverage it. Let's call it like for broad sake, the front side and the back side, operational excellence and a member facing experience side. The drawback, unlike big banks, credit unions do not have a massive data lake or a big AI budget. So we must be more strategic, focused on high impact member centric applications. Like Patty mentioned, right? Synthesize the data in a way that on demand, in a way he said we can produce it better. That's one thing. And now generative AI is pretty much in the main stage, whether it's AI assisted member service agents or predictive financial wellness tools or intelligent underwriting models. This AI, generative AI, is shifting how we build trust, enhance access, and scale the service without increasing the cost. So credit unions, especially, we need to balance innovation with compliance, security, and ethical practices. That's the major one. We should see this as a strategic differentiator that requires leadership commitment, strong governance. You started with that, and member-centric execution, not just as a tech initiative.
Got it. So while Patty sees this as no, we can even find new use cases and new experiences, you're seeing it as a significant differentiator. And also, I think the sense I hear from you is it's also a sort of a level playing field, though you have some disadvantages in terms of not having control over the data, etc., to the level a large bank might have. But I think it still provides the same power to provide great experiences to the members, right? So Anurag,
exactly.
Yeah, and Anurag, the same question for you, right? You have worked with big banks for a long time, and then of course now you're leading the credit union. So you have a very complimentary view of looking at this. So how would you see generative AI in the overall financial services and credit unions in particular?
Sure, Raj. So let me first start by thanking Raj, you and the Infinite team to organize this great conversation, right? And again, I'm very thankful for Patty and Suresh to be part of this discussion, right? So always their insights very helpful for me. I want to just talk a little bit about ViStar, just to kind of level set and give audience a picture of what ViStar is all about, right? So ViStar Credit Union was founded in 1952 with $60, right, in onboard Naval Air Station in Jacksonville, Florida. We've grown quite a bit, right, since then. We are over a little over $14 billion in assets that we manage and we serve almost 50,000 small business owners. We have like 79 full service branches, and we have a little over 1 million members, right? So there's a quite a bit of scale that we have grown to, and we live by our motto of doing good, right? So coming back to AI, right? AI is one of those technologies, right? So throughout my career, whether I was at other large corporations like Citibank and then at ViStar, I've been very forward compatible in my approach, and generally I'm an optimist when it comes to technology, newer technology, right? So I'm pretty bullish personally on AI for banks and credit unions. Certainly, there's a transformative potential of AI to enhance the operational efficiency of how we do business. How can we do things faster, cheaper? Obviously, we can work on leveraging AI for enhancing the security, so our member feels that their funds and their money is pretty secure and safe with credit unions and banks. And finally, also, I think Suresh hit that one as well, around the member experience, right? Because at the end of the day, we are all here to serve our members, right? How can we do that in the most optimal way, very cost-effective way, but providing them with the best-in-class experience that they deserve from our organizations, right? So we can use AI and gain competitive advantages is how I see it, right? So I tell my team, I'm like, hey, there's no need to fight AI and resist the change. It's about embracing the newer technology and leveraging it to help us do our jobs better. So again, driving operational efficiency is going to be good. How can we leverage and implement some of those AI capabilities in the business side, like in risk and fraud management aspects? There's a huge amount of data that we have, and Suresh mentioned that, hey, we have data, but it may not be as well organized. So clearly, underlying data elements, having that done right is going to be very important. Good data can help us drive better business insights, help make better business decisions for our members, right? So all of those things kind of goes hand in hand. There's a lot to be done, and I'll be honest. I mean, I'm sure others feel the same way. It is overwhelming. There's so many AI tools, technology, every platform that we are implementing, all the partners and vendors that I talk to, everybody has an AI component that they want to come in like, hey, I have this AI, can we leverage it? Yes, we can, but then I worry about AI sprawl that's going to happen, right? So we got to be mindful of, like, it's a fine balance of understanding how to leverage it and make the most of it, but also not doing it at a point where it's too many things and you're not really getting the real value of AI. That's how I'm kind of thinking about this and approaching with my teams.
Great points, Anurag. So both being bold to embrace AI, but also have a balance in terms of not probably have, as you called it, right, the AI sprawl, or getting into things, and also having some of the foundation elements, right, the data and other things which you mentioned, right. So I think it's a good point to sort of dig a little bit deeper. And I know you mentioned, Anurag, about Wistar. So let me sort of get to the sort of understanding, because there's a lot of hype around. I'm sure a lot of pressure is there on all of you from your boards to get AI going and deliver some magic tomorrow. But just to be realistic, right? Maybe Suresh, you can give a view in terms of where teachers, Federal Credit Union as an organization is, right? From an AI adoption or a journey perspective, right? Have you done the strategy? What are the things you're looking at? And how are you also making sure you adopt it in the right way? So where are you on the journey? And maybe you can share with us, right? What has been that journey for you?
No, it's a great question. Certainly, you touched upon, Raj. First, we need to have a solid strategy, right? And the strategy allows us to collaborate with leaders across the company, gain the leadership buy-in. That allows us to invest in change management, workforce upskilling, and then help employees understand AI is here to complement them, not to compete with them, right? That's the number one thing. When it comes to teachers, Federal Credit Union, I believe we are well into our AI journey, and 2024 has been a very pivotal year for us. We focus on AI adoption in few areas, right? Let me break it down into a few areas. We call it intelligent automation, instant loan decisioning area, and risk management, and then even fraud detection. We are piloting to some extent member engagement, like a lack of a better word, across. We're piloting there. So when it comes to intelligent automation, obviously we started off with robotic process automations and slowly increasing the game towards OCR and bringing a few other things. So about close to 60 bots are running today, saving over 60,000+ hours annually through automation and helping our employees, relieving them from mundane activities. That's one thing, right? It runs across, the bots runs across all units, whether it's payment, lending, retail, you name it, compliance. The second thing is we are now focused on loan decisioning area, right? We call it Smart Decisioning Platform, SDP. And that platform, we are trying to bring underwriting, and we are trying to move all the consumer loans, which does a manual effort through a different company for many reasons, because underwriters is not easy to find in the industry, and then we are also reliant on other companies. So we are moving through machine learning models with proper governance, with proper post-operational management. So smart decisioning platform, we're there. And then we also have many tools with built-in fraud models, fraud pattern recognitions, throwing at alerts. And now that we have a SDP as an analytical platform, we are thinking about a lot more on developing more models into it. But overall, our next phase is scaling AI governance. You started with that. And of course, we have to enhance AI-driven personalization. And then we have to focus on deeper integration into our omnichannel strategy, because we cannot think AI is just for efficiency. It is about creating a credit union of the future that anticipates and meets our member needs proactively. Anurag said it clear. We are here for our members, and it's our job to understand them and meet their needs proactively. That's where we are at a high level.
Thank you. Very interesting, because you have had some big gains already from an intelligent automation, right? That is some AI, but some of it pre-AI as well. And I think the key thing is how we are doing decisioning from an underwriting perspective, the loan decisioning. I think that's a big point. And I know I'm just probably thinking ahead, right? Given the type of successes you have, it could be something. I'm hopeful at some point you can help a lot of other credit unions out there who probably don't have the scale or the ability to adopt, right, AI in the underwriting, and maybe that's a thought process maybe for the future, etc. Right, how you can help other credit unions, maybe directly or a SUSO or whatever. Anurag, coming to you, I know you talked a lot about how you are sort of making sure your organization embraces AI, right, and be bold and forward looking about it, but also be careful in terms of not allowing. I mean, we don't want the sprawl. We don't want everyone trying some things on their own, right? So how are you approaching AI adoption in your organization?
Yeah, no, thanks, Raj. So pretty similar to what Suresh was saying, right? I mean, I think we are all in that stage of like, hey, it's pretty new, overwhelming technology. There's a lot of it out there. What can we do? One of the things that we did was we have defined some guidelines and process documentations around the AI usage, right? So it's very important for our employees to understand what is okay to use versus not okay to use, right? Because it's important for them to understand, because AI, if not done right, can also create havoc, right? And can be very painful. So that was one thing that we did. We also had a high-level strategy conversations around how we want to go about doing it, right? Crawl, walk, run type approach. There are pockets of the organization where we are leveraging some of the tools and AI tech which is available, right? Like content creation, summarization, documentation. I think those are very easy, low-hanging fruits. I think that every organization should quickly look at. So we have kind of deployed like Office 365 Copilot, for example. We've done something around those lines, right? To leverage. And what I did was when I say I mean my team, what we did was we deployed it to different business users, right? So we wanted to get a flavor of like, hey, how are other business units using, and what values are they gaining out of it? It's not just technology play. It's an equally business play there, right? So we're kind of doing that in great partners on the business side, right? I call them all the time. They call on me all the time. So we talk about that. So that's one. Within technology, automated software engineering, I think, is important, and quality engineering side of it, right? So Copilot for Git. We are in the process of doing POC and piloting for our application development leaders and team members to leverage Copilot for Git and see how can they help generate code faster with better quality, test case generation, code documentation, stuff like that. Again, I'm not talking rocket science here. I mean, these are some of the basic things that everybody should be leveraging. But yeah, every organization is different stage, right? One other thing that we are looking at pretty heavily is around AI ops on the technology side with ServiceNow, for example, and the Gen AI capability of ServiceNow platform, including Dynatrace observability and stuff like that. We're looking at there. One thing that was very important that I saw our team leverage was Azure OpenAI to do code like reverse engineering on a piece of code that people did not know what it was doing. It was amazing to see how fast things turned around and what it did for the team. So that was pretty powerful to see some of that aspect of it. And lastly, Raj, you said about agentic AI. I mean, I think it is very important, right? It is going to be the year and probably next couple of years of agentic AI, like so do it for me economy type of thing, right? I completely expect at some point every organization will start looking at AI agents, and you will have an employee. So you have Anurag and you have digital Anurag helping Anurag do better things faster, right? So I kind of look at that digital co-worker, digital employee is what agentic AI is going to play a pretty strong role in the future.
Fantastic. And I think and this is very exciting topic in terms of IT productivity, develop code and generation, testing, and also you talked about. So I'm going to definitely come back on this as we progress this discussion. So Patty, from your vantage point, right? I'm sure you're not only thinking about AI and your organization is adopting it. You're probably also making sure the rest of the organization, right, it actually is well sort of adopted and sustained as well. So where are you on the journey, right, from the Christian Financial Credit Union perspective?
Yeah, so thanks, Raj. So Christian Financial, we're considerably smaller than ViStar, right? So I think what's important about AI is it scales, right? So whether you're the size of ViStar or Christian Financial, we're just shy of $1 billion. AI can be used in both organizations, but sometimes a little bit maybe differently. So as I started, I think AI is really, it's been around for a long time. So we've been using, in most probably financial institutions have been using various forms of AI. It was probably launched a lot for us in fraud, right? The neural networks and things like that. I think for us, we're on various journeys right now. We're definitely still in discovery on many solutions. Like we're trying to select the very best. And I think we're going to continue to iterate even after we adopt. I feel like a lot of these early solutions that are going to come are going to be throwaway technology at some point, and we're going to continue to advance as the technology gets better and as our team gets better. Because I don't know today that we have all the right team members to advance with the AI solutions that are out there. I think in some forms, we're early adopters of simple generative AI solutions. Like for 2022, I wrote the whole technology section of our strategic plan using, generative AI. So that was an early adopter there. We do use it today in our fraud and risk area. This year, last year we implemented Salesforce Marketing Cloud and Salesforce Sales and Service Cloud. And as Anurag said, so many of these solutions have built-in AI. So the Salesforce has built-in AI. So what we decided to do this year is now we have the deployment of Marketing Cloud and Service Cloud, we partnered up with a website provider that doesn't build bank websites or credit union websites. We went and found somebody that's building websites for other industries because we found they're probably just a little bit more advanced. So we are on the journey now to match up the Marketing Cloud with personalization on our own website and the visual store that people come to. So we think that we're at various places on our journey. Some things we were early adopters, some things we're just kind of testing out, looking at it. We'll probably adopt some of these things to see how it goes. But I think the thing that's most important is in an organization our size, we really can't afford to have experienced leadership in this area because it would be really, our goal is to have good line managers, good line VPs and C-level folks who understand and embrace the fact that AI can, help with operational efficiency or can help. I loved the term that you used instead of cross-sell, the member engagement. So it can help to drive that. So I think it's important for organizations our size to partner with good consultants or good leaders to help us navigate the waters and build this strategy. Because I think a mashup of the various technologies, it may be the easiest way to go, but long-term, it's not going to provide us with the foundation that we need. Like Anurag said, you're just going to get AI sprawl. And it's so easy because everyone has some AI built in it. So I think for us, we're tapping various different places. But for us, our thing will be to partner with somebody who helps us to build that foundation from which to leap.
I think great points, Patty, because I think you covered, I think one of the things I've always been hearing is models are perishable and use cases is where the value is, right? I think the focus you have around, okay, we are going to focus on multiple use cases with the recognition that you may have to, explore and experiment and change things as, being agile, but also balancing that with a thought process and we need a proper foundation, and recognizing also, right, given your scale, you may not be in a position to establish a AI leadership or an entire team. How can it be everyone's business to adopt AI with, of course, the support from outside as well, right? Some of them come infused in products. Anurag, you covered that, similar to Salesforce, the agents there, agentic agent force there, plus some of it, right? It could be consultants and others who could help to make that journey. So this gives a very good understanding in terms of where each one of you are. And I think I want a little bit dig this deeper, right? And so maybe coming back to you, Patty, once again, right? While there is a lot of real belief, and everyone actually agrees that significant advantages from AI. I want to sort of ask you a question, given your as a CEO, right? What do you think are the economic advantages from an AI adoption, right? In financial services as an industry, both from driving revenue growth as well as from an operational efficiency, right? So how do you see that? Also, I know CFCU has in the past grown both organically and inorganically, right? And do you see a space for AI to shape up this growth, right? As you grow organically, and also as you, bring in new credit unions to integrate. How do you see AI, actually help you there?
Yeah. So in your first question about, so my background is I am not the technology person in the organization. I sit in every technology meeting because it's a passion that I have. But I started off as our CFO for 15 years and then as our CEO for 15 years. So for me, AI, I constantly go to numbers, right? I constantly go to the financial aspect of it. So yes, check revenue, check operational costs, because it does both of those. So I think that the benefits are going to be plentiful in both those areas based on the solutions that you adopt. Now, having been, so I didn't go from CFO to CEO. I came through operations for a few years. So I was actually a CFO for like 10 years, and then ops for 10 years, and then CEO for 10 years. Coming through the ops side is when I really got the appreciation for the customer. That's what I really cared about, the customer. And I think what's really interesting is that if you do this right, it's not only financially beneficial for the credit union and by reducing operational costs and improving revenue, I think you're going to enhance that both for the member too. I think they're going to get savings from how you do it, and they're going to get enhanced earnings because you're going to find solutions for them that are going to help them financially that you may have not found by happen chance. So I think you're going to find these solutions for them a little bit better, and it's going to enhance them. The second question, yes, as you say, so we've had periods of organic growth and we've had periods of growth through mergers. We have a couple mergers on the plate right now that we're working on. And what, an old way that we would have, approached a merger is we would have just looked, where do the account numbers match? Where are we going to have a problem? How are we going to process ACH? How are we going to process, the ink clearings? But now, one of the first things we did is when we got the data of this credit union that we're working at, we said, what are they missing? What hasn't somebody told them about? And we started analyzing the missing opportunities that maybe they hadn't been, introduced to a low rate car loan, or maybe they hadn't been experiencing Zelle, in the P2P world. And so we started to apply some of the AI models that we have used for the member engagement. We used to call it cross-sell up until a couple seconds ago, because I love that term. We're using those tools early on now to say, okay, this is a $120 million credit union that's gonna, we're gonna join together. How do we take these 7,000 customers, members, and how do we instantly provide benefit to them. It can't just be, oh, our NSFE is X and yours is X plus 2 over there. We want to tell them early on about the benefits that they would have as being part of this new organization. So I think AI is going to be very instrumental in that, because it makes us look at things differently now. We don't look so much as things operationally as we do an enhancement for what we can deliver on.
Oh, this is amazing, because Patty, because you were a CFO and you know how accountants were looking at acquisitions, right? They had a certain number way of looking at things, but ability to apply AI, taking your products, your rates, and sort of simulating in a way, right? Saying if these customers get it, what is the additional value that you can unlock by bringing them in, and knowing that upfront, it's a big game changer, right? And I think that's only possible with all the data coming in during an acquisition time. It's only possible by doing AI and applying your models, your products onto them. So I think it's an amazing thing. And I think your 360-degree experience, right? Being a CFO and then a COO from an operations, overseeing that, and the CEO, and recognizing all of this, I think that's a great perspective as well, because you're able to now see AI in a completely holistic way. I think it's a fantastic point, right? I want to know, Suresh, just build on some of the points you mentioned last time, right? You mentioned some powerful use cases you're already working on within teachers, but I want to sort of zoom back and see, when you look at the entire financial services industry itself, right? And you look at both the customer engagement, the operations, and what you could do. What is your top sort of set of most impactful AI use cases we see, right? Because you're a practitioner. I know there is a lot of information out there where people claim, hey, this is the best, and you can apply AI in, say, 50 or 100 use cases. But what would be your most impactful use cases, right? Your view. And also, from that perspective, I know you're already on a journey, but what would be the next set of priorities for you from a teacher's federal credit union perspective?
It's a great question, right? The good news is, as and when even you think of AI, think about AI governance, right? Think about AI governance. Think about, the reason is, when you set the foundation right, it's easier. So figure it out how to put AI governance and data governance and integrating into omni-channel strategy, and you have an overall AI strategy. That's the number one thing first. The top use cases in my mind is focus on in the back office. In this case, you're calling it business operations and risk management. Across all departments, any mundane activities from employees, you can take it out and use your intelligent automation, RPA kind of tools, and OCRs combined with optical character recognitions. That in itself, employees are going to jump in and help you there. Then as you get matured, focus on AI-powered loan decisioning and underwriting, because especially for credit unions and smaller ones, finding the right talent in underwriting area is not that easy. So automating loan approvals for faster, more accurate credit decisioning, while reducing the bias and improving risk assessment is key, right? That's why the governance comes in, external entities reviewing. And then fraud is really, really eating a lot of money these days. So from an intelligent automation towards AI-powered loan decisioning, focus on fraud detection and prevention. The AI models can analyze patterns and especially allow you to look at millions of transactions. It's like find a needle in the haystack, right? So those things can help you spot fraud attempts, and then even manually you can put some controls so that next time you stop the fraud. That's the second one in the business operations. And invest AI in compliance as well. So compliance and document automation, right? AI can process regular filings, whether it's our filing or other things, we can do that. And generate compliance report, ensuring accuracy and reducing any manual efforts. That's back office. Then focus on front office. As you get matured, when your governance is strong and when you have a solid data, Anurag talked about it, right? Many credit unions and financial institutions have either unstructured data or outdated data. We need to find the right data. Once you're maturing, then focus on connecting as a in your word, customer engagement and personalization, right? Everybody is jumping into conversational AI, which try to replace the traditional AI, right? And then AI-powered financial coaching. Anurag talked about agentic AI. When you bring agentic AI, integrate into a simple LLM through API technology and integrate into reinforcement learning and systems, it's easy for you to bring financial coaching, easy for you to bring financial advice. Those are the areas will come in later stage. But if nothing else, there are tools which helps you with voice biometrics, fraud detection, as and when members open an account, that helps as well. So I'm going to say focus on back office operations, and then slowly as you mature, focus on customer engagement and personalization. But our top priority, you asked as a third part, is certainly we have to scale our AI-powered lending, more products beyond consumer lending. And we are going to invest in fraud detection models. And because there are emerging threats like synthetic identity fraud and more, we have a good, solid department teaming up with us as well. And then, of course, we not thought about deploying AI-powered virtual assistants, but we will deploy AI-powered virtual digital assistants in Anurag's thing to support our employees, like agent assistants. That's what we're thinking about.
I think it's a great set of points, especially, right? I think you hit upon fraud as one of the big areas, because I think every executive in banking and credit unions you meet, I think fraud is that top topic that will come in the first 5 minutes. And I think there is a general recognition that while the existing solutions are looking at fraud at each of these transactions individually, but as an organization, you have to connect the dots, right? You have a lot of other data. How do you, because you could do one transaction through one I would call it a rail or whatever, and you could do something later in something else. And each of this may not detect a fraud, but there is a connection between all of this. And fraudsters are obviously very, very expert in doing this. So I think that's a great area. And also the way you are looking at, I would call it, using generative AI for your customers, right? You talked about educating your customers and, not customers, members. How do you bring that capability very quickly forward? I think that's a great example. And also internal productivity, the assistant, and I think that could be, again, a great way to collaborate and have information and shared very effectively, right? So great examples, Suresh. So Anurag, I want to double click on some of the things you mentioned in the last set of discussion. So if you see the last 1 year, we have seen some significant advancements in AI. You mentioned about agentic AI, absolutely right, gaining a lot of momentum. But there is also a lot of focus now on model performance, especially after what DeepSeek announced, right? And you shared a lot of details of how to apply AI or how it is entering into the IT delivery processes itself, right? Whether it is coding, testing, IT service management, you mentioned AI ops, right? How do you see them really changing the way we may be delivering IT? See, because there is also been a general a challenge around talent, right? For smaller banks, mid-sized banks, and credit unions, right? You can't get the level of talent you always need. And I think, how do you see them? Maybe this could be a great way to increase the productivity and get things faster, right? So how do you see this?
Great question, right? I mean, I'm sure everybody's thinking about stuff like this. So yeah, DeepSeek, it made waves, right? A couple months back or so, because of the cost efficiency play that we heard. Hey, the models are performing so much better. It's open source. They did it at a fraction of cost as opposed to OpenAI and all of that, right? I mean, I think with AI, it's the future is not human versus machines or AI models. It's, I think, can we make humans better with AI models? So leverage AI models to become better, I think, right? That's what it is like. But when you talk about the this whole how can we leverage within technology? Obviously, Suresh highlighted a lot of things around fraud prevention, right? How can we do things from the business perspective in the back office? Absolutely, hands down, right things to do. Everybody is looking. We are looking at the similar things, right? I talked about the digital economy, like the do it for me economy, which is the digital clone or the co-worker, right? To leverage AI. But on the technology side, one of the things that we are focusing is around telephony transformation, right? How do we transform contact center technologies that we have and leverage AI to serve our members better? I mean, think about how powerful it will be if somebody calls or does a chat with our agent, and the AI agent behind the scenes is able to say, hey, you know what, Mr. So and so, Mr. Anurag, we see you are calling about this. We already did a thing, and we feel that your credit card is not this, it did not go through, or you were trying this transaction and it did not happen. We already took care of it in the background. Now it's all cleared up. Think about how powerful is that. Or, hey, I lost my wallet and I lost my credit card. We see, I can type, I say, I lost my credit card, and they say that, hey, don't worry about it. We're going to send you a replacement digital issuance right away. And then, by the way, we see that this credit card you had was auto paying for these 3 subscription model. We have replaced that number for you. Think about how powerful that is going to be for our member experience, the customer perspective, right? But if I go technology-wise, I mean, IT infrastructure management is an area I tell my team about. AI ops for observability, for automation of monitoring, self-healing. How can we make systems self-heal, right? Obviously, we all talk about infrastructure being more resilient, but how can we make the systems very self-healing so before the problem even happens, it's already healed? Cybersecurity is going to be a big area, right? I have a partner in my CISO here called Scafidi. His team is kind of looking at how can they make cybersecurity and info security better. AI is going to be heavily involved from threat detection perspective for his team. IT help desk automation, AI chatbots, virtual assistants, stuff like that is there. Data analytics, DevOps, code is so powerful. How can you fast track code? Writing better code, how can you make the pipelines better, how can you shift left and do code reviews and test as part of the pipeline, and leverage AI for application performance improvement. I will tell you a couple of things that I did personally. I mean, I was at a Gartner conference, right? I leveraged some of the Gartner documentation in my home, and I dumped it in a notebook LM model, and I could ask questions. It was just giving me like answers easy. I didn't have to go and I didn't have to attend all the sessions because there are thousands, like hundreds of sessions happening. You can't attend every session. You're not there. Think about AWS or Azure conferences. These material conferences, everything is available online. People should be able to download those, put it in Notebook LM, free version, 50 documents, you can do it, and you can just get the content summarized for you on the fly. Think about how powerful, how easy life will be, right? So there's a whole lot of things that we can do. That's why I'm pretty bullish on AI. And for the reasons of, hey, it's going to make my life easier. One of the things that I tell my team that we need to start looking at using AI for the FinOps on cloud cost optimization, because that's another big one that we kind of do all the time. How can we leverage AI technology to do it? So there's a lot of use cases. I mean, it's very we all are very passionate about technology in general. That's why we are here. But this is going to be a game changer.
Absolutely, I think it's a very exciting. Yeah, no, absolutely. I think the way you explained the AI ops of it, also from a code, and how do we apply security, and how do we apply for look at the performance of the code. I mean, so many areas. I think AI will become an integral part of the IT delivery, right? I think just like there were transformations before, right? We all used to code in some Unix editors and use command line, etc., and that came an IDE type of world. I'm talking decades ago. So similarly, I think this would be a very different way we create code, we design code, and also we run our infrastructure and cloud. And I think FinOps is obviously a very great area as well. And so very exciting, and I'm very glad how we are looking at it in a holistic way and looking at AI across the board. And from a contact center perspective, I think that's a tremendous area as well where you're focusing on. And I know similar to how you're able to look at your documents, I know you've been looking into how to create a knowledge assistant for your agents as well, right? Where they can ask questions and get quick answers and service their customers, I mean members on the phone far more quickly, by applying AI and rack pattern, etc. So fantastic, and I am getting a few questions by the way on my Q&A. But let me probably ask one more question before looking at the questions from the audience. So we have discussed a lot about overall Gen AI, what's happening from a financial services industry, from a credit unions in your specific organizations as well. But I wanted to sort of know, given your experience, right, and also what you're seeing on the ground and across, with your peers as well, what do you think are the key challenges we need to address to successfully implement and sustain an AI adoption beyond a few pilots and the POC, right? So that in the long term, it becomes an integral part of your organization. So maybe Patty, this is for you to start with.
Yeah, perfect. I think there's a few things. And maybe they're not in any particular order, or maybe they're different orders for different organizations or different priorities or risks. I think the first one is fear. So the fear of not a complete understanding of how the information for decision is being generated. So our industry is inherently risk adverse, and we operate or have operated in very controlled operations. We've long relied on building most of the models we use, right? We understand that we built these loan decision models. We put in what all the inputs were going to be, what's your debt to income going to look like, what's your credit score. We've even kind of fed the neural networks. If you see this type of transaction, block it. We've built the ALM models for the most part. But many of these models, they're very stale, and they rely on historically past history and human-fed assumptions, and that maybe just aren't as good. So I think it's the fear of not understanding what the models are actually doing, because AI is just so much better than that. I think second, time and resources. It takes a lot of new level of talent to identify and use these new, these deployments for AI. And, certain organizations were not currently staffed deep enough with these individuals. So to position who are going to find these use cases and to deploy them. And I think probably the last one is cost, right? There's a misconception that AI is cheap because there's so many, free generative AI solutions. But AI is not cheap. Every time you layer in a new level of AI with a new solution that you want to do, it can be very, very expensive. And often these solutions are coming from new fintechs. They have significant startup cost, and they're not priced cheaply, right? So I think it's fear, costs, and just leveling up on resources to be able to deliver. That's what I would say is the hardest part to getting this really up and running in a sustained way.
Yeah, the fear, the talent, and how do we make sure from a cost perspective as well, right? So great points, Patty. So Suresh, same question for you, right? How do you? I know you talked about we have a proper strategy. You've been obviously interacting with a lot of stakeholders. Those are very foundational and fundamental to get this sustained over a long term. But other than that, right? What do you think are the things any organization should be addressing to adopt AI in the long term?
Yeah, along the lines of Patty, right? When we have a mindset thinking AI adoption, especially in credit union, isn't just about the technology. It is about first people, second process, and governance. When you have that mindset, then you could see the challenges and help with the mitigation plan. So number one, when we say people, AI is going to shift the job roles for many, right? So we need to think about workforce upskilling and change management, because we need to help employees with AI literacy, meaning, so when they know, okay, AI is here to enhance them rather than replace them, then you get a huge buy-in. That's number one. Because job roles will shift. It's going to create more roles. And then anything we do, the change management is very important. So we need to have a solid change management strategy and a team to help us roll out. Then number two is AI is only as good as the data we train on. So what is your data readiness and data quality plans. Anurag briefly touched upon many institutions struggle either with fragmented data, unstructured data, or even outdated data. So how do we bring everything in one area? And AI models require a high quality data. At this time, a structured data, of course, if it's LLM, that's a separate one. Structured data to function effectively. So we need to make sure a non-siloed data. We need to invest in data governance, and we need to ensure, when you bring the third thing is when you bring data governance, right? Ignore for a time on AI governance, right? Data governance, we must comply with data privacy rules, with data other regulatory concerns, right? So that's a focus on data readiness and quality. Then also shift your focus on compliance and ethical governance, because no matter what, because we are in a financial services business and we will be highly regulated. So I want to make sure we think about anytime there'll always be regulatory concerns around bias, transparency, and explainability. These things can slow down adoption. So establishing a strong cross-functional governance and a strong framework is critical. Some institutions, the fourth point I would say, some institutions, we still have older core banking systems, which means it's not properly API enabled. So we need to have a good plan. How do we bring some modularity and API driven for seamless adoption? The last point I want to say is to overcome any challenges, do not jump in because you make sure every AI investment has a clear business case, and it has got to focus either, like Patty mentioned, either on efficiency gain or a revenue growth area. That will help us, and always make sure, take a phased approach and align everything you do with business objectives while balancing the risks, ethics, and scalability. That's the thought process.
Very, very comprehensive, Suresh. So you've talked a lot about the data governance. I think it's more foundational before we even come to AI governance. I think the ethical AI, the explainability, that part of it, and also make it very structured and more of an ROI driven, right? Not just sort of scatter the efforts and spray and pray type of approach, but very deliberate in terms of what use cases you choose and how you demonstrate the benefits. I think it's a very structured approach. Anurag, same question for you. What will be, from your vantage point, the things we need to sort of ensure so that AI adoption is sustained?
Yeah, I mean, I think Patty and Suresh have done a great job hitting at most of the points that I kind of resonate with as well, and I agree with. One thing that I feel is important for all of us, right? For anything new that we're trying to do, right? I mean, start small, right? Fail early, learn fast, right? Stuff like do that way, so you're not putting all your bets on something and then you fail at the end, right? So you don't want to do that. So that's one thing. But from the challenge perspective, if I'm thinking, I feel like having that executive buy-in is important, which I think most of us have, but it's very important for all of us as leaders to buy into what this can bring, right? So that can be challenge if you don't have the buy-in from the business sponsors or business leadership or other executive leaders in the organization. That can be a little bit of resistance, right? Suresh said it well as well. Like anything that you're trying to implement, you always want to make sure that you have a associated business value that's going to get delivered, right? If you can't measure something, you can't improve, and if you can't improve, there you don't know what really got delivered, right? So it's very important for that. Technology strategy, given we got to have a good strategy, but not as it needs to be nimble. You need to be able to move fast through certain things, right? Talent is going to be key for our sites, right? Because I mean, if you're at Google of the world or Microsoft's or Amazon or large banks and stuff, it's they have much deeper pockets as opposed to some of the mid-sized and small organizations. So how do you energize your existing teams, train them well, so they are able to deliver what you want them to deliver on your vision, right? So that's important. And then finally, governance and data. If you don't have good database, if if that will take everything away, right? Because bad data will lead into bad insights and bad business decisioning, right? Having that good data, cleansed data, which is kind of curated and maintained so it doesn't become stale, is very important for any AI model to help with better decisioning. So those are the type of things that I think are some of the challenges that everybody will need to deal with. Obviously, ethical biases and stuff like that. That's how the whole. I mean, I'm thinking that you may not want an AI governance model to govern other AI models that you're going to deploy. So, so having that is important as well.
Yes, yes, there are startups which fundamentally, have AI, which brings, what they call as how does your AI model think, right? Bringing translucence to your the actual model when it is working. So it's fundamentally another model which is doing that. Great point, Anurag, right? So I want to just call out a few questions, a lot of questions from the audience. I don't think we have time to sort of address all of them, but I want to just put it out there so that you get a quick view on what the audience is thinking. One is about quantum computing, the announcement from Microsoft, I think last week or so. And how do you think, one question is about how do you think the interplay between quantum and AI, and especially how do you think from a quantum and banking and financial services perspective? The second interesting question I thought we have is, no, I think this one is about inheriting biases from historical lending data. I think, Suresh, that's probably a challenge you have already faced because you're training with your data. And how do you avoid, right, all the historical human biases now using that decisions and that data to train your models, and they will just perpetuate that, right? I thought that's a great question. The third question I think is very interesting as well is one of the audience member asked about, I mean, you have been talking and covering a lot of ground today, and this is a complex area. Not every one of the credit unions out there can do this, right? How open are you is a question, right, to form a consortium and bring credit unions together to sort of help credit unions adopt it in a very safe and a better way, without, of course, right, you don't want to give up your competitive sort of advantages, but I think given the sort of a collaboration and the community spirit among credit unions, I think that's quite possible, right? So I'm just reading out the questions just to know. I don't think we have time for the answer, but I have one question for all of you. So very quick, maybe 15-20 seconds, quick answers from all of you. If you had a crystal ball, how do you see AI shaping financial services and credit unions, say, in 3 years' time, right? Maybe one quick sentence. So what do you think? What do you think it will be?
Um, okay, I can go
Yeah,
first.
go first. Yeah.
I think if I have to think about it, if I had that, I mean, I think what I would predict is uh, enhanced member experience, improved operational efficiency, um, advanced analytics and decision making, and then security and compliance. I think those are going to be very important. Large. I mean, obviously, you can go detail, but that's what I think.
And also, I think you already covered one which really excited me is having a AI twin for each of
Digital.
the employees.
Digital,
A digital twin.
yeah,
I just
digital
called it AI
worker,
twin because yeah,
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 AI twin, digital worker, digital co-worker, whatever you want to call it.
yes, to increase the productivity, right? Patty, what is your view?
Yes. So I agree with all those, and I'll just layer on. So I think it's going to have the ability to create winners and losers. And I think those who adapt quickly and continue to retool and progress in the journey are going to have extreme competitive advantage, and they'll have the ability to leap over superpowers who don't adapt quickly. So I think Anurag is right, spot on. All of those things are going to be the benefit, and those who don't step in and adapt, they're going to be the losers. I think the winners are going to be people who embrace the technology and in full force and go forward.
Fantastic. So it's going to pick winners and losers, sorry. And Suresh, from your side?
The use cases are very similar to what Anurag said, right? AI will be embedded in every aspect of financial services, fundamentally changing how credit unions engage, decide, and operate. And next 3 years will define which credit union will lead, which one will fall behind, like Paddy mentioned. The only thing is we have to embrace AI responsibly and integrate it into member-first strategy so that we are best positioned for sustainable growth and relevance in the digital future.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. This was amazing. Great discussion. I think we covered a lot of ground today from how generative AI is reshaping the credit unions, the opportunities, the challenges of integrating AI into the member services and the operations. And I think one key theme that stood out for me is I think there is a lot of thought process, strategy, and actions already taken, right, in credit unions from what you're saying in your own organization. And I think it's a lot more matured, right? It is not just a question of doing pilots. I think there is a lot of thought and strategy behind it. You have picked the areas, you've seen it, how it can elevate the entire credit union and the member experience. And also, as Patty said, right, it's going to differentiate, right? It is going to make some of them really shine. And so huge thank you to our panelists, Suresh, Patty, Anurag, for sharing your insights, experiences, perspectives. I think this conversation has given us a lot to think about as we navigate the evolving landscape of Gen AI and the innovations that's happening there. And to all of you in the audience, I know we called out a few questions we couldn't cover all of them, but thank you so much for being part of this conversation. And this discussion doesn't end here. I think as we move forward, we'll continue to explore how we can thoughtfully and responsibly integrate AI. I think Suresh, Anurag, Patty, you have mentioned it in different words. How do we do this in a responsible way, integrate AI with credit union, with the members, and so that we maximize the benefit for our members and communities. So thank you again. With this, we will wrap up. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you, Raj. We truly appreciate
Thank
you and the entire team for bringing us.
Appreciate it. But Raj, can I add one thing? The question
Yes.
about having a consortium, I think it was very interesting, and I agree. I mean, I think if we could, I'd be very open to having those conversations with different people if they want to, and sharing our knowledge and experiences. Right? I mean, I think ultimately is to drive a more resilient and dynamic credit union ecosystem that benefits all stakeholders. So I'd be very open to doing anything like that.
Fantastic, Anurag. We have an AI worker. We have created a lot of things. I think we should have just had an agent running. It could have taken a few of your words and converted that into some real code as well. So amazing discussion. I really appreciate. Thanks for taking your time and having this discussion with all of us. Fantastic. Thank you. Have a great day. Thank you.